What happened?
Yesterday's meeting was basically anticipated actually when Labour declared a nationwide strike. But yesterday they had to call off basically because of the commitment they got from SSNIT. And SSNIT had earlier issued a statement indicating the need to discontinue or terminate the sale of the hotels. Based on those commitments was the reason Labour had to call off the strike. There were some people who believed we didn't organize Labour. Look, let's sustain the strike for a period of 3 days or 1 week. But there was another section which says that no, let's call the strike off and continue engagement with SSNIT. It was the reason they gave 1 month to engage with SSNIT and get those issues addressed. And you realize that even though Labour has called off the strike, they believe they should have a lot of engagement with SSNIT in terms of looking at the restructuring of SSNIT, bringing SSNIT back to be owned by workers, looking at the composition of the board and the appointment of Director General, including the deputies as well. So these are some of the issues they were dealing with SSNIT. Within a space of 1 month, they would expect that SSNIT should be in the position to address those issues with them.
Now, UTAC, for example, they're asking for the board led by Elizabeth Ohini and Kofi Osafo-Mafo's management. They should be gone already. Kofi Osafo-Mafo says it's unfair to ask for him to go home. Elizabeth Ohini hasn't spoken yet. But what does Labour think? What's their position?
It was one of the major issues they discussed yesterday. There were those who said, let's dissolve the board. Let's call for the dissolution of the board. Let's support the position of UTAC that let's get the board dissolved because they believe the board has not served their interests. But another section says that no, when you dissolve the board, the current structure of the law, how the law has been crafted, gives express mandate to the president to do the appointment. So the president appoints Director General, he appoints the board and other members of the board. So even though you dissolve the board, you still have the president having the mandate to do the appointment. So why don't we go gradually? Let's engage the sector Minister of Employment and Labour Relations. That is one. And then set up a committee. The committee will look at the restructuring of SSNIT, also the composition on the board. In that case, you hive off the power of the president, and that one will come to the Labour, and that must go through some parliamentary amendments. So the dissolution of the board was considered, but they believe that they have to go to some parliamentary amendments before they can take that initiative.
The demands that they were making, did you get an impression from the meeting yesterday that SSNIT has completely backed off, or something that they will come back to in terms of the sale of those hotels?
It doesn't look like SSNIT will come back because on Friday there was a statement from SSNIT where they said
there was no signatory.
Yes, there was no signatory, but we saw signed, SIGNED, signed.
And they said they wanted pen and paper.
Exactly. They wanted to see a proper signature on that particular document. And there was a subsequent letter which was released by Madame Elizabeth Ohini, signed by herself. And their own internal, their members on the reps on the board also confirmed to them that yes, indeed, the letter is coming from SSNIT. So I get the sense that Labour really believe that yes, indeed, this is a letter, and because I suspect they wanted to shake the system a bit because yesterday
this is just something small.
Exactly, because they felt that they had been taken for granted for too long. There was the issue about the DDEP where Labour said we're going to strike and never did that, and also another issues concerning salaries and all that. All those issues were not properly addressed. So they believe that was the reason they were doing this. Let's sustain the strike for some number of days, but the impact was going to be dire and very huge.
This conversation about assets that SSNIT is managing on behalf of all of us who contribute. Do you, again, I ask you, get the sense that SSNIT feel that they are working for us, or they think that they are governance on their own?
Some of the investments of SSNIT have been questioned. For instance, when you look at the setting up of, let's say, the boxing gym. At
Bukum,
exactly, what boxing arena. You have the investment of SSNIT. SSNIT also has investment in Stanbic, has investment in Fidelity Bank and all that. As to whether SSNIT is working for us, that one, from when you're not part of SSNIT, obviously we say SSNIT is not working because most of the investments have not yielded any much returns.
I'm asking this question because Labour is represented on the board of SSNIT.
Very well.
They have asked and spoken and told them, keep your hands off. Naile, they feel sector. She sat where Helen is sitting.
Right.
They mentioned that keep your hands off. It had to take organized labor to go on strike before government says, okay, our hands are off.
So that's the major difficulty, because if indeed you wanted to terminate the agreement, you should have done that a long time ago. Why would you wait till labor says that about 600,000 workers are saying we are withdrawing our services before you proceed? It's okay, then I have backed off. So the committee that labor is setting now is going to look at SSNIT investment, calling for a forensic audit. Let's look at SSNIT's investment over the years.
Right.
Have those investments yielded?
For 10 years, STC has not paid a dime, even though SSNIT owes 80% of the shares.
Exactly.
They have not paid a dime. 10 years.
Is that why many are saying that should be one of the, shall I say, portfolio items that SSNIT should be paying attention to revive? And
you're absolutely right.
10 years, for 10 years, paid a dime.
Even the hotels we are talking about, Jordan, there are some hotels which have operated for more than 40 years. They have just paid 2 years dividend to SSNIT. What happened to the remaining years? They have not paid anything. So when we look at the investments of SSNIT, it's either somebody is not chasing up, or it has some kind of a political influence involved. It becomes very difficult to be following up some of these. But once labor, this time around, I get the sense that they are very fair.
Right.
This time I also get the sense that really they want to carry this matter through and ensure that workers get their due. Look, Johnny, there are people who return when you see them, you just wait for them.
Yeah.
It looks so terrible.
Yeah.
People have worked for over 30, 35 years. When they go on retirement, some are taking less than 5,000, 10,000 Ghana cedis. And that's
mentioning even 5,000.
You mean as a lump sum?
Exactly.
Yes. So to clarify, as a lump sum.
As a lump sum. For over 30 years when you work, that's what they get.
My goodness.
And that is so terrible.
What is he going to do with it?
Exactly. And those people, when they did the investment under the second year has operated for just 14 years.
Right.
There are people who are living with over 35,000, over 40,000. But over 30 years that you have worked with SSNIT, look at what you are given. So SSNIT actually must be properly restructured. And then that becomes a problem because we'll just be moving in circles. But this time I sense that Labour really is calling for an audit of the investments of SSNIT.
I think that they have kept too long asking for this audit to be done because it does appear that SSNIT just picks your money and drops it into anything. Even though there are investment guidelines by the National Pension Regulatory Authority. Right. Yes, MPRA gives. But what has MPRA said now? They were solidly behind SSNIT to sell the hotels off. But why, nobody has said anything from MPRA.
The first time we heard from them was when they issued the first statement saying that SSNIT suspend the sale agreement.
That's right.
But the subsequent ones, up to now, we haven't heard anything from MPRA.
No, there was another one that came that they said, okay, we have given SSNIT a clean bill of health. They should go ahead and dispose of the
that came through the minister.
That came from the minister,
in Parliament.
Yes. But there hasn't been any concrete document from MPR as I speak to you, indicating that
the principal spoke in Parliament.
Yeah, because the Minister of Employment is the Minister of Pensions, so just MPR is really under him.
That's right.
And when we speak to the Labour reps on MPR, they are telling that they have not issued any statement asking the minister.
So was the minister telling us something from his head?
Well, and the minister couldn't have spoken based on administrative decision.
Right.
This purely should be a board decision.
Thank you.
So the minister also cannot proceed to speak without having an express mandate authority from the board. So clearly the minister got his mandate from a certain quarters that he was able to speak.
Is it because the board has not disputed that? Because we could very well be here and tomorrow we'll get a notice to say that disregard what the minister said.
It's
not far-fetched to assume that can happen.
I agree because up to the MPR has not said anything. And when the MPRA has some technical members on the board, I was told that they even rejected the sale agreement, but because within this political system it becomes very difficult to come out. But MPRA actually must come out and speak. And for some few days now, they have really been lashed by the general public. And
That's
also
right.
Labour, that MPR has been very silent. It is now assumed that MPRA actually gave the minister the express mandate to speak, because the minister cannot just speak without any authority.
Now MPRA has become complicit because by extension what the minister said is that MPRA has reviewed this particular transaction.
Exactly.
So organized labor want to know what exactly they reviewed to come by this particular decision.
You know the noise died down when MPRA came and said, oh, halt.
Yeah.
We're looking into it. Then the noise died down. And then suddenly MPRA came and says, oh, go ahead and fire away. It's okay. Sell it. And sometimes I always make this analogy.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. You see the private insurance companies that come to us to Helen. The
insurance
draggers and kickers and say, buy my policy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
SSNIT doesn't go through that stress. Right?
No.
As soon as the month ends, the money is there.
are made.
Yeah.
And you look at the kind of investment that these insurance companies are making and the profits they are posting.
Yeah.
And you look at what SSNIT is doing, and you clearly cannot think about it. That you have everybody. If you default, I've run a private business for some time. If you default, SSNIT will come pick you and take you to court.
Exactly.
That's Saturday court.
Saturday
That is
court.
correct.
Under the shed.
Yeah.
You will be hot. They will deal with you fast.
Yes. John, when we look
So
at
what did they use the money for?
when we look at the deductions, I think they did that's around 18%.
Right.
Where about 5.5% goes to the second tier. The remaining amount goes to SSNIT.
Right.
So what kind of investments are there?
Some actually goes to NHIS.
Exactly. That's
And
what
then-
2.something%
and then- yes,
goes to
2
NHS,
yeah,
and the rest
then
goes
the
to
rest
SSNIT.
goes to SSNIT. By 11% or so.
Exactly. But even that is a lot of money.
Yeah, 11% of somebody's 5,000 is not a joke.
It's not a joke.
11% of somebody's 10,000 is not a joke.
At all.
Of somebody's 8,000, 6,000 is not a joke. Anyway, Mr. Setablosi is joining us as a labor expert. Boss, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Are you happy
morning,
with
brother.
Are you
Thanks
happy
for
with
having
the
me.
way things are going? SSNITly speaking.
No, it leaves much to be desired.
But you've been
They-
talking. They are
they've
not listening to you.
Yes, they've been. The top should have been resigning yesterday.
Kofi
Yes.
Osafomafo says it's not fair for you to call for his sack.
No, well, I will not call for a sack,
Okay.
but I'll call on him if he said about integrity before to resign.
But he said it's not fair.
No,
To
he
even
said,
ask for
no, he
his
said
head.
sack. But you see, the way they've dealt with only this hotel issue, vis-a-vis the advice from the transaction advisors
Right.
and what they told them. And it looks like they were even unfair to other bidders in choosing Rock City.
Right.
They were completely unfair to other bidders. And you wonder what manipulation was going on to achieve a particular purpose, to let Rock City have it. When, with the evidence that became available, they don't even have GRA tax clearance
They have provisional
representation
provisional
for
tax
for-
clearance.
But did the SSNIT ask the same for provisional tax clearance for all bidders? Was that the standard? You see,
But senior citizen,
2.7.
you know Madam Elizabeth Ohene. The standards that she tries to hold young people to,
Yeah.
and the standards that she's superintending over.
Yes.
What do you say? I know I put you in
for
a
me,
tight corner, but,
she's been a disappointment, to say the least. And it's taking too long for her to resign as chair of the board. Because you see, for the same reason that I mentioned about the Sem Capital's advice, there was no way that they could have been dealing with the matters. And it does appear, I suspect, that they did not even make the Sem Capital's
2.7.
position
Right.
available to members of the board. Wow. I doubt it if they did.
Danny, do you get that impression from Labour? You've been going up and down with Labour.
Right. So in 2018, when the process began, we had a different crop of labor union leaders who were there.
Right.
So for the agreement to go through now, you have a different crop of leaders currently. So Mr. Serablo's position will be very quite clear, because we realized that when we listened to the labor reps on the board, they were not really informed about the sale agreement. So that is a
Helen,
problem
how
now.
much did we spend? 7.1.
7.5 million Ghana cedis to get this.
And we didn't listen to
We
the
didn't
advice.
listen to it. But calls for resignation and sacking. Yesterday, I was listening to the DG, Mr. Kofi Bosumpim Osafomafo. There is no indication that there is any desire on his part to step down or step away. In fact, in listening to the interview, he wants us to move on. He says that we've come to this decision and we must move on.
You want somebody to resign in Ghana?
I know it's not the culture, but in this particular instance, and a question was put to him that apart from getting a strategic partner, is there no other means, mechanism by which we can revive these other hotels? And in fact, I didn't get a suitable answer. Okay. From where I sit, his position is that he has a job to do to maximize the profits for all of us. And however they see fit to do so is how they will do so. That was the posturing of the DG.
You are a labor expert. Do people forget that they are serving us when they have authority and power? Do people forget? You consult, you advise them, you put them in the room.
Many forget, but especially with SSNIT. For a long time, management of SSNIT has lost focus on the essence of the organization SSNIT.
Right.
For a long time, they were calling us customers.
We are members.
We are members.
And contributors.
I remember a front page advert in Ghanaian Times on Tampers where they said, "Dear valued customers," blah, 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 blah. Then they put together a customer service department. When you have no customers.
Right, we are members.
Yes, you see, so what that does is to whittle away the sense of ownership.
Right.
Of the members.
Right.
So that things get done without reference to them. And that is completely unacceptable. No.
So what do we do now?
What do we do now? I am calling on the chairman and the DG to resign. If they don't, organized labor needs to take a position to target pension house.
Yeah.
To target pension house.
Yeah.
And get them not provide any breathing space for particularly these two to work.
You see,
because
Mr. Abroso, when Daniel Opoku's friend goes on strike, Dr. Bampo, then he switches off his phone. What you're asking for now, it be chaotic.
No,
the man goes on strike and he switches off his phone, so you can't reach him.
Yeah, it means he's on strike.
Now you're asking that they go there and not give them breathing space.
Yes,
they're looking for trouble.
That they take the charge to them physically if they are not hearing what the public, because they failed completely.
Right.
And I'm saying that I'm judging their performance with the same capital position and advice to them. And it means that they were unfair to other bidders.
Right.
The thing was skewed.
For in the interest of one entity.
Yes. So if we should put integrity back into their operations, then these top two must resign. Look, when Dr. Tinkran was removed,
right, one of the deputy DGs, he also left.
Yes.
In protest.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Tinkran's letter of removal made reference to his appointment or recommendation for appointment by the Public Services Commission.
Right. Sure.
So I was expecting that when he left, we'll have an acting director general, that advertisements will be put out for Ghanaians.
The dailies, so somebody can apply.
Yes, who are qualified and available to apply. Shortlisting would have had to be done.
Right.
Then the Public Service Commission recommends who to get there. But we didn't have that.
Mr. Blosupa, we are looking for a job. You are looking at long process.
No.
you do things by the book too much.
No, we are looking for the right thing to be done.
But we have to appoint the president's advisor's son. What are you talking about?
No. Let him apply. If he's interested, let him apply. If he thinks he's qualified to run the place, let him apply. That is how we need to get things done properly.
I see.
Yes.
Danny? Let's wrap up the conversation.
Right.
What is Labour's next step? Are they going to take Mr. Blosu's advice? Because it's a dangerous advice.
It looks more like a terrorist attack. I believe the position
to breathe.
That's exactly what Labour has intended to do, is trying to do now. Basically, to take the fight to SSNIT. They want to get hold of SSNIT. So they have surmounted the first hurdle by calling off the strike. Secondly, they are going to engage SSNIT.
Right.
And then they will take over the governance.
Do the auditing as well.
Exactly. And take the total governance of SSNIT. That is what they want to do. But you see, the problem, Johnny, is the law. The problem is how the pension 766 has been crafted. President doing a lot of appointments. Right. So if you are able to review that particular law
and take the power from the president and put it in the hands of Labour.
Exactly. Then they get hold of SSNIT. Because of pensions, the very reason SSNIT was set up. Agitations around 2004. I know very much Mr. Blosu was involved.
Right.
Between Clocksack, the teacher unions and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. Senior citizen has paid his dues.
It was the reason SSNIT was formed.
But Danny, there are some workers who think that SSNIT was, in fact, the SSNIT board had Labour properly represented.
Sure.
Yes.
So how did all this happen?
You see,
were they not there? Were they not attending
they were
the meetings?
The Labour reps are outnumbered on the board. There are 4. Presidents appoints 2. You have Ghana Employers Association, and I think DG also is a member of the board.
Right.
And so they outnumber them on the vote.
So whatever they say doesn't.
It just doesn't hold.
Is this correct?
You said Labour is properly represented.
Right.
I beg to differ.
Please tell me, you are the
Labour
expert.
is represented, but it's not properly represented.
I don't understand.
Now, they are supposed to be organized Labour reps.
Right.
Being organized Labour reps means organized Labour should choose the nominees. Organized Labour did not choose the nominees.
Who chose them?
Their names were put forward by the Secretary General of TUC. Without reference to organized, and I can tell you this as a point of fact.
If you are representing me,
yes,
I don't put your name out. TUC boss put your name out.
Yes.
Go around to.
No, TUC boss, TUC holding itself out as organized Labour.
Yes. So they acted on their behalf.
Yes.
Without their express permission.
Yes. And this is a matter that, as far back as 2016, had been challenged by Ghana Federation of Labour.
Mr. Comson's
yes. Arising not out of which, in court, challenge in court.
Right.
Arising of which there have been terms of settlement. We said they must have an organogram for decision making. Proper structure.
And was the same TUC yesterday that announced the call off of the strike?
Yes.
Wow.
Then something was begun. It was not completed. Only recently, 2023, the forum, which includes Clocksack and GFL, had been calling on the Secretary General of TUC to make room for a discussion and consideration of the structure for organized labor, so that organized labor itself will be properly organized.
That's right.
It is not. And I will go further to say that when organized labor is considering its nominees, they should swear an oath of integrity.
Where do they do that swearing?
Oh, go to Commissioner for Oaths. Yes, take an oath of integrity.
But people swear those things and they tell lies right after that. They say opening prayer.
No, let them do it.
Or something.
Make it a condition for consideration of your nomination.
Right.
Yes. And get them to do this relative to Section 177 of the Companies Act, which restrains fraudulent persons from managing companies.
I see.
And there, whether you are convicted or not, you are disqualified
from getting close.
Getting close to.
Mr. Ablo, so people say opening prayers. So in Parliament, we hear them. I solemnly swear, blah blah blah, and then they tell lies.
Yes.
For concerned police report, you saw it. So people don't take those things serious.
Let Labour begin to set the standards, and then there can be consequences because you see,
after he swore, he said he has not paid any money for Sputnik V vaccine. Then he came back the next day after we played that Marcus Tobias sound to say that he wasn't thinking right, but he had actually paid the money. He said it. Kokosa Police, Bugri, Nabu, all of them, they swore with Quran, Bible, crucifix.
You see, if Labour does this, it will be difficult to compromise any member of the board.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your time. Helen, you want to have the final word?
I just wanted to just pick your thoughts very quickly, all of you. I mean that in the absence of the dissolution of the SSNIT board and the management resigning, what kind of signal then would it send to the populace if organized labor allow for this to just slide, as it were?
3FM 92.7.
It's important that organized labor leadership shines their eyes, as the Nigerians will put it.
Right.
Yes, because as we get along, they are all under scrutiny. Yes,
have to look sharp.
yes.
For me, I think that because of the 1 month space that they have given to deal with SSNIT, I don't see this matter sliding. They will deal with the matter, because the sense I get yesterday, the temperature, the agitation, the anger within the TVC structure, the TVC building, I realized that no, Labour really is in for action. So within that 1 month, let's see what happens.
Daniel Opoku is a senior correspondent here on our Labour front, and also Mr. Seta Blosu is a Labour expert. Thank you, Chief. Senior citizen. We're
Pleasure.
grateful.
Thanks for having
You
me.
have paid your dues, pa. This one is Sam Beshoba.